Does it feel like every part of your life is divided? Every scenario, every environment, your church, your school, your work, your friends, left, right, conservative, liberal, religious, secular. It seems you always have to take a side. This is a conversation between a progressive Christian and a conservative atheist who happen to be great friends. Welcome to Living on Common Ground.
Do you think if we met today, we would still be friends?
I don't know, but we're friends now.
A mob is no less a mob because they're with you.
Man, so what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man.
All right. Now that we're done talking about art and everything else.
Well, speaking of all of that, have you ever been to Madrid?
No.
Spain?
Okay. No. The only place I've been in Europe is Italy, and I had a layover flight on my way to Africa one time in Belgium. But all I saw of Belgium was what I flew over and what I was able to see out of the windows of the airport.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I was just bringing it up because we took the kids to see in the Reina Sofia museum. They have like all the it's like, I guess, the really famous artists. And like, what's the one that did some famous artist did the he did a lot of stuff, but then there's one where he does the he painted the the king of the Titans would eat his children.
Oh, Degas.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
And it's like he's holding his
yeah.
It's very creepy, but also like it's clearly it's the Greek myth or whatever.
Yeah.
I really liked that artist. It was very cool. It's very
I'm
dark.
like 99% sure that was Degas that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he I think he was great. I also think Salvador Dali for a while was one of my favorites.
Dali was cool.
Yeah, there was a Dali museum in St. Petersburg when I lived there. It may still be there. I don't know. But I remember taking dates there. And
that's a high-risk maneuver, man.
Oh, I was, whatever. And I remember one time we were going through the
I can see how that'd be impressive.
Would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if you could speak about the paintings at all.
Well, at one point, like I was with a girl and we were walking through and we could hear the tour guide talking.
Yeah.
And he was pointing to a particular painting. It was one of Dali's earlier paintings.
Yeah.
Where he hadn't gotten like really like with the melting clocks and stuff yet.
Yeah.
And he pointed to this picture and it was kind of like a landscape type of thing with people, but it had people in it.
Yeah.
And he said, and no one knows why he made the dog without a head. And I looked at the girl I was with and I was like, the dog has a head. That can't be in his script. He just made that up because the dog has a head. And she's like, you need to tell everybody on the tour that the dog has a head. And I was like, I'm not going to step in.
Contradict the tour guide.
But as soon as they walk away, I'll show you how he portrayed the dog's head. And all it is the dog is turning backwards. And a dog can turn its head.
Right.
You had to look closely, but the dog's head
is like in his body, basically
But you could see clearly if you studied the painting that the dog's head is there. It's just turned. And this person on their own as a tour, and it did back in the day. That bothered me.
Oh man, that is making me think it would be amazing to completely straight-faced get people to come on a tour with you, me, like for me to go give a tour in some art museum and just make up everything all the way through.
I wondered, like I was thinking about following the guy, right? Because I was like, I wonder what else he's telling these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think this guy probably thought, oh, I know this isn't in the script, but I'm just gonna. And I was like, yeah. So anyway, the girl I was with at the time,
Was that impressive to her?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I never really thought about that. All I know is that it was something
Seems like
I
something
enjoyed.
would work.
I enjoyed. I've always enjoyed art. I have learned that not all women enjoy the same things I enjoy.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I'm married to one right now.
I think that's something that is a good idea for most men to realize very early on.
Well, I'm married. Obviously, Denise and I have a lot in common. But we also have a lot of things that we don't have in common. And so I'll read something. And I'll be like, you really need to read this. And then eventually I'll just take it back.
I have no experience with this at all. Everything that I find fascinating, Krista finds equally fascinating. So.
Sure, I bet. Yeah, I've heard about you going on and on and on about the Roman Empire with Krista and how much she enjoys it.
So do my kids.
Yeah, in fact,
They all love it.
I think that if you really love them tonight when you get home, you're going to just start talking to them about some actually,
You don't have to convince me.
Just some remote Roman person, right? And just wax eloquent about the contribution that they made to the Roman Republic. Like not even the empire stuff, like most of us are familiar with. Go back to the Republic stuff. Yeah. All right. But speaking of reading things, how's that for segue into?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been doing a lot of work. A lot of writing. In fact, before we started recording, I mentioned that I've been doing a lot of well, this isn't a shock, I think, to most people. I've been doing a lot of reading lately about Stoicism, like for the last while now.
Right.
And I just finished and started my 5th and 6th book on Stoicism. I'm not writing that. I can't do that.
You finished reading
books about it. And one of the books the one that I'm currently reading is called The Lives of the Stoics, I think. Yeah. And it's co-authored by Ryan Holiday and another person.
Oh, okay.
And but it's not so much like sort of how he does like a lot of those motivational self-help type of Stoic things.
Right.
It's more of a history book.
Yeah.
But they still include like the contributions that they've made and sort of how you can be inspired by their lives. Anyway, one of the things in there is a couple times he mentioned how some of these guys have committed to writing 500 lines a day.
Yeah.
And so I've
as like a discipline.
Yeah, and so as a discipline, I have sat down and I will write for if I can keep track of the lines, 500. But to be honest with you, more for me, it is for a period of time.
Yeah, sure.
Like I will write for so many hours a day.
Yeah,
and it is more than 2 hours a day. I will set aside for writing.
I remember Elizabeth Gilbert talking about how writing is a discipline. And I wish I could get this quote right because I find it to be a fantastic quote, but it's something like, I think that the angels are active when I'm writing early in the morning or something. It's something like that. I got to go back and get that quote and get it exact because but she was talking about like when you just have to do it and you do it regularly. And if you do that, magic happens.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. And the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Sure.
Right. And the more creative I get, the more I do it.
Yeah, of course.
And so, I generally get up early in the morning. And the first thing I'll do is I'll make myself a cup of coffee and get myself a small bowl of cereal and sit down at my laptop and spend at least an hour writing. And then sometime during the day here in the office, I'll set aside at least an hour to work on my writing, not like a sermon.
How boring. You got to start your day right by getting up and scrolling.
Just doom scrolling
and telling yourself you're only going to check everything really briefly for like 5 minutes. And then you're going to get to your meditations and journaling and reading for the day. And then find yourself there 45 minutes later when you have to wake up your kids.
Yeah.
And you haven't done anything.
That sounds like a great start to the day. Yeah. And then in the evening.
I recommend it.
And then in the evening, I'll try to set aside at least another hour or so to write. So
not to scroll.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I have found that scrolling actually creates more anxiety for me.
Does it?
It does. So, okay, but I say all that to say, one is
I deleted all my apps again.
Did you?
Today.
Good for you.
Not good for me.
It is good for you.
It's my cycle. This is what I'm doing because I got too angry again.
I know that you appreciate the Stoics.
Yeah, I do.
And so I would encourage you to think about temperance.
Yeah.
Right? What would that look like
when
it comes to social media?
I think that's a good thing to think about.
And you smirk. All right. So anyway,
I don't mean to. I don't mean to be dismissive.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I love you, and I know you well enough to know that it's all fun. So, so some things have happened. I actually got this week a few unsolicited subscribers that have started.
Oh, cool.
And some people I don't even know
on your Substack.
Yeah,
good.
And it's all still for free. The Substack. I haven't started any sort of like membership or anything like that because I'm still just trying to get things out there, and I don't need the money. Well, I don't need them. I have a full-time job. But someone I don't know actually commented on one of my posts recently.
Uh-oh.
No, it was great.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. And he was like, "This makes way more sense than." And I'm not going to get into what I was writing about, but
yeah,
way more sense. And then he pointed out the Persian influence on the Jewish understanding of what's the word? And not hell. It's one of the precursors. Anyway, Sheol. Yeah. And
the underworld.
Right. Because one of the things I was writing about is how we develop. Our theological concepts develop over time. And I said, actually, so I responded and I was like, yeah, actually, that's a perfect observation that you're making because we also don't process, even in internal processing is not done in a vacuum. It obviously is influenced by the cultures around us and the people around us. And so anyway, but I was really excited that someone else, other than people that I know, have started interacting with the stuff because I feel real inspired to do the work. And I was thinking about Stoicism again too. And one of the things, so I just finished reading, again, Ryan Holiday's book, Discipline is Destiny. And he talks in there about, we do the work because we enjoy the work, right? We're not worried about whether or not we'll get famous from it or whatever. And I thought about all of the work that I'm doing right now. And I thought, I enjoy the work. And I think the work is really important. The work being how we bridge gaps, the entire premise of this podcast.
Yeah.
So that being said, one thing
I think is interesting is that you keep talking about developing theology, theological development, theological evolution, whatever, and you use the term theology or theological. And it's interesting because I didn't grow up with this, but in college I learned about, and I went to a college, for those who don't know, I went to a college that was associated with my denomination. It was a liberal arts university by the time I got there, but it was church-based. It was a Christian college. And I would have bristled to hear somebody call it a Christian college when I went there.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's a liberal arts university, but come on. I mean, we went to chapel 2-3 times a week, and not 3 times a week, 2 times a week, and it was church affiliated. Okay.
Sure.
Anyway, my point being, it was affiliated with the denomination I grew up with. So even though I didn't get this terminology until college, I really kind of latched onto it and it made a lot of sense. And that was developing revelation, which is a Wesleyan, as far as I understand, kind of a Wesleyan base, because that was my denomination was born out of the Wesleyan holiness movement. And so that was the way that many of my professors would explain the seeming not factual contradictions. You can find factual contradictions in especially like in the New Testament, with the Gospels and that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're throughout the Old Testament too.
Yeah, and so, but that's neither here nor there, and that can be explained in a lot of different ways. But really, how do you explain a God that never changes? That's supposed to be a fundamental kind of precept.
Yep.
God that never changes, that clearly gives opposite instruction, right? And so the answer was developing revelation. The idea that as we changed, we would understand it in different ways. But what I find fascinating, the reason I bring it up is because the term that was used was revelation, developing revelation, which implies the giving of the information from God to humans.
And I say developing understanding.
And you say developing theology or developing understanding, which implies the humans going toward God, right? Or going toward the concept or whatever. So I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to really, I guess I am trying to draw a contrast a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have no.
Well, so for me, I think that when you look at the Bible, when you take a close look at the Bible, what you see is humans understanding, evolving, or developing.
Sure.
When it comes to their attempt to grasp the reality that they live in.
Yeah.
And so that in the Bible is theological development.
Yeah.
Right. In other disciplines, it could be philosophical development.
Yeah.
Right. And or scientific development.
Yeah.
It's all an attempt to try to explain what we experience,
right,
and what we observe as we live this life. And so, just real quick, one of the examples, we just did it last night in the class that I taught last night, and it actually is the one that the guy commented on. Even though the Bible study that I'm doing on Substack is not the same Bible study that I'm teaching in person.
Sure,
but it just so happened last night that they almost parallel.
They converge a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the things I talked about is the development that you see from henotheism to universal monotheism.
Yeah,
in the Old Testament. And so what I would suggest is that because of the experiences and the cultures around them and the intellectual influences that they have, the people that they talk to, their understanding of this God that they worship, Yahweh, changes over time. Right. So when they first develop as a nation, let's say 1000 BCE. Okay. Then they start trying to make sense of, well, then who is their God? Because all nations have a God. And so they identify their God as Yahweh. And Yahweh is the greatest of all gods. And so they have examples, they have poems, they have stories where God meets with the council, the divine council of other gods. There's stories in there about how Yahweh has assigned the gods to their different territories and given them different cities. But Yahweh has been the one to do that. And so that's henotheism, right? It's different than polytheism, right? So polytheism is that there's a pantheon of gods and that multiple gods are worth worshiping.
Right.
Henotheism is that there's still a pantheon of gods, but only one is worth worshiping. And so for the early Israelites, and that shows up like in Exodus and things like that.
It also shows up with Babylonians as well.
Marduk.
With Marduk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then the Babylonians is a good segue to the next development that you see theologically. And you really kind of see it in the second, beginning in Isaiah chapter 45 and later, of this idea of, well, just actually Yahweh is the only God, right? And it starts with things like, well, your gods are just idols. It gets to the point where actually they're not even there's not even gods. And so what happens is you have this experience that the Israelites have, which is called, really at that point, it's not the Israelites as much as the Judeans.
Yeah.
Because the Israelites have already gone with the Assyrians. But the Judeans then a little while later get captured by the Babylonians, and they're hauled off into exile. And now they have to make sense because culturally, in that time, in that area, and in the Near East, if your army beat my army, it meant that your God beat my God, right? And so how do I claim?
Which we laugh at,
yeah,
but that makes way more sense,
sure,
in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a way in which that we do that today because we have killed God. Okay. We do that with plenty of other things. We do that with, for instance, if somebody is wealthy, it is because they have worshiped the God of discipline and
I hope that works out for me.
And hard work and ingenuity,
right,
and inventiveness. Or if you hate the wealthy, or you feel envious or whatever of that, they have worshiped the God of corruption and the evil gods of corruption and deceit and power over people and whatever, right? We have these other things that we ascribe to, or luck, which was a function of the gods.
Yeah, I use the word fortunate, but yeah, fortune
right?
favors the bold,
right? And so there's a part of me that over the past 10 years or so of studying these, what we would consider like, it's not prehistory, but like early history, historical
ancient
groups. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I love about history is trying to, as much as I can, let my eyes go fuzzy and try to feel like how that would feel. It's impossible, but try to do it. And there is, I gotta say, there is a sense in which it does not make sense at all to say, my God is still top God when I have been crushed.
Which is what the Israelites had to do.
Yeah.
In Babylon.
Yeah.
Right? They had to make sense of, well, okay, so Babylonians, they just take Yahweh and make them, okay, so yeah, there's Yahweh.
Sure.
He's just a lesser God to Marduk.
Right.
Now, and so so the Israel or the Judeans are forced to figure out like, well, how can we still claim that our God is the greatest God? And it came to, well, because he's the only God. And then they did this amazing thing, which I have not seen, and it could just be because I haven't studied enough, but I haven't seen where another nation has been able to say, well, actually, our God just used you to punish us.
Right.
You don't even have a God. You didn't know it, but it was our God, Yahweh, used you as a tool.
Right.
And so that way they were able to, in their own defeat, still claim superiority of their God.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway,
I think that,
but you can trace that, like, and like you mentioned, you were taught that. In of course, it was taught as revelation. I think of it more in terms of theological development.
Yes. Which is, you're getting at a very similar thing, but I think that distinction is interesting to me. And I'm not going to say which one.
Right.
I don't have any concern about right or wrong in that. But there's clearly some little distinction there that I think is interesting.
And either way, whether it be revelation or development, human development, right? I think it's important to acknowledge that it's in there and not go the third way, which is just try to gloss over it or to try to make it all fit. Because that's not, and that to me, that causes more problems when you just try to say there's a consistent theology over a course of 1,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that seems, well, let me say, that seems clear to me. What you just said seems to be clearly the case. But I wonder if that's because you and I have a similar temperament in this. We tend to be pretty cerebral.
Mm.
And I don't mean that as a positive or negative, just like that's
Just an observation.
kind of how we approach things. But that does seem. I will say also, I said that I'm not saying which one I think is right, but I do have to fall on your side as far as saying that it's developing theology or developing revelation, because I don't believe in revelation. So I do think that is probably a better term, although where I'd quibble a little bit. But I wouldn't really quibble in what you're doing, because you're talking about developing theology through a group of works that are fixed in time, namely the Bible.
And we can observe that
so
development.
You can see the development. Yeah, I don't know how much I believe in development anymore, because to me that implies an upward progression, some sort of like this continues in a direction, whereas I would see it as like some sort of like just everyone has different conceptualizations, and you could see it develop into something that we would consider backwards 200 years from now.
So I would push back a little bit on saying that just because something is developing, that it means it's on an upward trajectory, right? Because I think that I have I could state that I have developed a drug addiction. Well, the word "develop" simply means that that something has changed over time.
But when you say that, even when man, we're getting pedantic here. When you say that, even in that statement, I've developed a drug addiction.
Which, by the way, I've not developed a drug addiction.
You're implying. I'm glad you stated that for the record.
Just for the record.
So no one can isolate it.
Well, I was just trying to think. Well, because if I had said it like I've developed a drinking problem, people might be like, "That tracks." But
either one of those,
sure,
you would be implying something that was smaller that got larger. It's going in a direction.
Yeah, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be a positive direction.
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, development is always moving. There's a trajectory. There's a telos.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't necessarily indicate good or bad.
Sure.
It just means a direction.
Yeah.
And so really, how about this?
How about this?
The theological development that we see from henotheism to monotheism, it could be going the wrong way. And maybe polytheism is the actual correct way of understanding
this is my
the
point.
world.
This is exactly my point, that I have always considered it.
By the way, I don't agree with that either.
I have always seen it presented, and I just took it as obvious prima facie correct, that a let's just call it stupider. A stupider people group starts with worshiping.
How about
nature.
less informed?
It's not what I mean, though. I mean, there's an implication that you're not as smart as a people.
That can happen if we're not careful. Yeah, I'll give you that.
No. I'm saying I'm saying ancient past.
I will concede that.
I'm saying ancient past, ancient past. So no ties to anybody who lives now. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the idea is
right, for you to continue your thing. I'll concede it. Go ahead.
Okay. The idea is that you start as humans worshiping nature because that's what you see.
Sure.
Then you develop into thinking, well, the nature is physical, but there's another world, and that's what we're going to worship. But there's also many of them. That's polytheism. Then you move into the henotheism that you're talking about, and then monotheism, and then that's just a progression. And then, so obviously, monotheism is at the top in that it's the most correct, right?
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that's what we would say because we're monotheists.
And actually, I wouldn't say that at all.
And I think polytheism makes a lot more sense in a lot of situations if I was going to accept an outside non.
So if we're going to be pedantic, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would say is that a couple things. One is I wouldn't say stupider. What I would say is a less informed.
Okay.
Doesn't have access to all the information that maybe we get later on.
Okay.
Right. And so as we get more information, we begin to try to process the reality that we live in through the current lenses that we have. And sometimes we realize that the lens doesn't work anymore and it needs to change for us. Right. And so that's the development that continues to happen. It would be like saying, like, you can look at a 4-year-old kid and think to yourself, this 4-year-old's brilliant. Right.
Sure.
But you hope that by the time that 4-year-old is 14, there's been a development.
That they change. Well, that's
right.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. We always relate it to child growing into adult,
right.
which we know that
right.
is what we would expect it to grow into. What I'm saying is, what if it's just different and it's not better or less?
So let me go back to something I said earlier.
I don't know why I got down there.
That's okay. And actually, this is great because now the topic that we were going to talk about today,
we can talk about
that's going to be the next week's episode because this is fun. So here's what I would. Okay, so actually, I think that the topic that we're talking about is how do ideas develop, and if it has developed, does that mean that you were dumb holding your previous position? And I would say no. Right. And so I don't think that even needs to be implied. I think it has to do with just more information. Right. So, for example, remember how earlier I said that I think that like science is constantly trying to develop a better understanding of the world and the reality that we live in.
Yeah.
And that's what it's doing. It doesn't mean that the scientists that came before them were stupid. In fact, that would be a ridiculous statement to make.
No, but it does imply that they were ignorant.
And ignorant has nothing to do with mental capacity.
Agreed. But what I'm saying is, what if it's not more information, but simply a different perspective? But now I'm getting into postmodernism here, where you start thinking that there is no real epistemological foundation for anything. Which I could hang out here for a long time. It's not where I live my life.
Right.
Obviously, anybody
do we
who
have
knows
Nietzsche
me.
to thank for that?
Oh, I don't know. I think in the modern world we have Foucault to thank.
I'm just trying to think. Where did it start? Where do we start seeing that? I really enjoy Nietzsche, by the way, and I think it's a bad rap. Anyway, so
I mean, I think this goes back to Voltaire and prior to Voltaire even, and all of that. Yeah,
which we would never say Voltaire was stupid.
No, of course not.
Even though philosophically we look at him and we're like, nah.
No, but take something that is close to home though. We assume that democracy is better than monarchy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
and we go how do we know that?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because we live in a democracy. Yeah,
we're the best. Right.
So
it won.
This gets into something that I've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've talked on the podcast about it. Shameless plug. You can go to my YouTube page right now, or you can subscribe to the Substack. The video comes out tomorrow.
Go subscribe to the Substack. That's a real good. That's the best place. I feel like.
Thank you. It's Jeffrey Strezoff. That's my Substack at JEFFREY.
And he writes, and you write, and I said he. As if I'm doing a promo here.
It's okay.
You produce something on there almost every day.
At least 3 times a week. I try.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's only 2 times a week, but yeah, I try.
It's a really good amount of content that you can spend a little time reading that or listening or watching that rather than scrolling. You know?
I try to keep the writings to between 10 to 15 minutes read. That's it.
Yeah. No, they're good.
Yeah. And the only way I can, just as a side note, the only way that I can continue to produce that much content is that I'm constantly, like, when it comes out is when I finish it. Like, I don't start it and finish it that same day or even the day before. Like, some of these things they're being written right now. Like, I'm writing right now about 6 different things.
Yeah, that's probably true for anybody who's prolific.
If you're going to want to create content, whether it be videos, podcasts, we have to. I mean, there's times we have to record more than 1 podcast a day.
Yeah, you just got to keep doing it.
Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about development. Okay. So I think that the best way to have a I think that what we're talking about a little bit is the difference between convergent and divergent thinking. And so what I'm saying is that it's through divergent thinking that we gather the information, and then it's through divergent thinking that we come up.
Say this again because you said both of them twice.
Okay. It is through divergent thinking that we gather as much information as we possibly can.
We diverge from the norm to go out and
we
collect.
Open our mind to all possibilities.
To collect.
Right? Yes. And then we come back and we converge and we develop opinions.
Sure.
Right? We make decisions.
Yeah.
And then I would say, in fact, I have said that true wisdom is the ability to flow naturally between the two.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so that being said, let's go back to this idea of science, theology, philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take those three disciplines.
Yeah.
What I would say is that they're all trying to capture sort of the same thing.
Okay.
An understanding of the reality that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I would even go so far as to say that that also determines how you live in that reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, I think that philosophy and theology are more concerned about the actual then meaning of it, right?
Because that's where they've been relegated to for the last 400 years.
And I have
because prior to that, they would have told you the what just as much as the why.
And I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what I'm saying. If I want to be wise, I have to look at all three of those disciplines in order to try to understand the reality I live in.
Sure.
And so going back to this idea of the development from polytheism to henotheism to monotheism, I think that seems to be a correct trajectory for me because of what I've been able to gather from both philosophy and from science, from those disciplines. Now, do I think that I can then just camp in theology and claim to know all of reality? No. In the same way, I don't think you can camp in science and say, I now understand all of reality. Any more than you can camp in philosophy and say, I now understand all of reality.
I can do whatever I want.
You can do whatever you want. You're absolutely right. I can't tell you what to do. And to be honest with you, I could be completely wrong about all of this.
Sure.
Right? And I always feel the need to point that out. Because I never want to be accused of becoming certain about my uncertainty.
Sure. Which somebody did ask about that on...
you saw that on social media?
On Facebook, yeah.
Yeah. Did you see my response?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read something I wrote.
Yeah.
Did you like how I did that?
Yeah, it's good.
Because I actually wrote about that in one of my books. There you go, read
it's
it.
Good.
Yeah.
He
didn't respond, by the way.
I think that's all right. I think your framing of divergent and convergent thinking is I like that. I think that's a good framing. I've heard it described in different ways. It makes me think about a clip that I've seen of Peterson talking, and he talks about this a lot, which is it's kind of a reframing of the Chesterton fence thing, which is a good rule of thumb is never do anything different than what people have done in the past first. And then when it doesn't work, you've got to go out and do something different. And it's kind of it, and that's another way of describing the way that he describes chaos and order.
Yeah.
The border of order, and that you have to go out into the chaos in order for anything to be new. Anyway, but you're convergent and divergent thinking.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, so I would say that as you just stick with what you're doing until it doesn't seem to work and doesn't seem to fit anymore.
Yeah,
and then diverge.
Yeah,
and think and look at all the different possibilities that are out there. What are other people saying about this? What are And so
I've heard 12-step people say, keep drinking while drinking is working for you. When it stops working for you, come back here.
Look for another way.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the only reason I came to this conclusion is because it seems to me to fit experience. Right.
Yeah,
So this is how I've lived my life. If I go back and I reflect on it, I come across a theological position that the Christian church takes, and it doesn't work for me anymore. I'll continue to live in it until it doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
And then I begin to look for different ways to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I've started again yesterday writing something, and this is like the 5th time I've tried to start writing this. I'm having a real hard time. I'm reframing it again. I was talking about originally I was talking about panentheism, embodied panentheism is what I originally started looking at it as, and then I reframed it as the Christian Stoic.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things the reason I'm writing that is because I think that some people have come to the place where a lot of what they have been taught with regards to Christianity doesn't seem to work anymore. And the problem is they're not even sure what's available to out there. Is there an alternative? Is there a way to continue to? And so that's what I'm trying to do with that. But anyway, yeah. So I think it's important to be able to step back. I also think it's important then if you really want to, if you really care about trying to figure out this world that you live in, you're going to have to look at other disciplines. And then all that to go back to say, just because earlier persons, earlier people, earlier, ancient whatever, didn't understand the universe the way I do today, or their God the way I do today, or the way their minds work, or whatever. It doesn't mean that they were dumb. It just means that there's been a lot more written and a lot more studied and a lot more observed since then. And so actually it would be dumb to continue. I would be the dumb one if I continue to try to hold on to an old way of thinking in light of all the new information.
Mm.
You don't agree with that at all?
I understand the perspective. I have found myself on another side of the circle there.
I want to hear it. Because if I don't want to hear it, then I'm not doing what I'm saying I'm doing.
Well, I am...
Because maybe I overstated it. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Go ahead.
I'd have to take some particular things. I think that so let's take this for instance. When you, as a people, give up being a tribal people and decide you want a king, like the Israelites, you progress and get something from that. You lose something also. And so I have found myself wondering, what are the things that we lose? What are the things that I've lost?
Sure.
And so that it's not necessarily to me that I have so much information now, and so I am in a position. I'm skeptical that I am in a better position to understand the world necessarily than someone who lived 3,000 years ago. I think that I am in a better position to understand evolution, and I think that I'm in a better position to understand space. And I think there's a lot of places where I am in a better position to understand that.
You're better equipped to understand how your mind works.
And probably in a physical way. Yeah. There are some ways.
I'm thinking
however,
about neuroscience. Yeah.
Yeah. There are ways in which I think maybe I'm in a worse position to understand how my psyche works, if you want to say that. My mind as opposed to brain, right? Sometimes I wonder about that. Sometimes I wonder if I understand the world, humanity, and how it interacts with the world less because I live in a monotheistic world and really in an atheistic world, in the West, than I would if I lived in a polytheistic world. I wonder what I've lost. And I wonder if there's a way in which I would understand the world some aspect of it that would be better than what I have today, right? So I mean, it's not really an argument with you. But there is some part where it's different because it's not. I don't.
You're describing to me what I'm hearing you describe to me is a form of it's a form of divergent thinking.
Sure.
Right. And it's all an attempt to try to become the best Lucas you can be. And sometimes it means I have to think about what are things that I've left behind that maybe I need to reclaim. Where I'm saying I would seem to be not making wise choices. I use the word I would be stupid, and I hate to call anything or anybody stupid. Right?
I'll call them stupid on your behalf.
So think about this. And what I'm saying is that if in the light of new information that seems to me and to everyone else to be correct, I insist, though, on holding an old position and doing an old thing, even in light of all this new information, that's not wise. Is what I'm saying, right? So like, sometimes I just have to reframe it, and I can retain it, right? But like, for example, would be a silly example would be, let's just say that every night at about 9 o'clock at night, I get a really bad stomach ache and I get really bad gas, and I'm in a lot of pain, right? And so I go to a dietitian and try to figure out what's going on. And they ask me, how much chocolate do you eat? And I'm like, oh my gosh, every night before I go to bed, I like to have a big bowl of chocolate ice cream. And I go, oh, well, you're lactose intolerant. All right. I have that information. The dumb thing would be to ignore it and continue to eat my chocolate ice cream.
Sure.
You have new information. You change a little bit. You change the way you live. You change the way you understand things, right? So that's all I'm saying. Is that to look back and say that an ancient civilization is dumb or less, because I think, like, from what I can tell, just go back to Egypt. There seems to be some really, really smart people in ancient Egypt, from what I can tell, right? Rome. There seems to be some really, really intelligent people in Rome who completely understood the universe in a different way that I do.
Sure.
I can learn from them. I can continue to learn from the people that have come since them. And I can continue to learn and maybe even try to contribute to future learning. Because there's going to be 100 years from now, maybe someone will read something I wrote or hear this podcast, right? Or watch a video and be like, I would hope they wouldn't say, boy, Jeff and Lucas were really dumb. Maybe they could say, oh, well, since then, this is what we've learned. That's all I'm saying. So.
No, I get it. I get it. I see the principle.
And again, like with everything, I'm sure there's parts of it that don't stand up to scrutiny, but I think as a whole, it's the same thing with the divergent, convergent thinking and the wisdom. That's where wisdom is. Maybe I didn't gather all the information I needed when I diverged. I'm still gonna have to make the best decision I can right now. So
I think that's probably that's clearly common ground that we've got. Is I think that is wisdom as well.
Awesome.
That humanity, an individual psyche, everyone needs to have a good balance of that divergent and convergent thinking that you talk about.
Awesome. All right, look at that. You nailed it for us. Thanks.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Living on Common Ground. Please follow wherever you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. You can also find a link to our social in the description. The more people we have living on common ground, the better the world will be.